Hello everyone. In today's video I bring you a stunning story that will challenge everything you think about life, death, and what lies beyond. Let's meet Ezekiel Hawthorne, a 52-year-old man who had a near-death experience and came back with a shocking revelation about Jesus and what religions don't tell us. What he discovered on the other side will completely change his view of the world. So, before we start, leave your like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any content like this. Get ready for an intense and surprising journey. My name is Ezekiel Hawthorne, and at the age of 52 I experienced something that completely changed my perception of life, death, and everything in between. Before this transformative event, I was an ordinary man, living a life that many would consider normal. I lived in Milwaukee with my family, worked in an accounting office, and spent my days immersed in the routine I had built over the years. I wasn't particularly religious. In fact, I considered myself a skeptic about spiritual matters. My life revolved around work, family, and the small pleasures of everyday life. It wasn't that I was unhappy, but there was a constant feeling that something was missing, like there was a void I couldn't fill. My daughter Sarah was the light of my life. Watching her grow into a young woman was my greatest joy. However, even this deep love wasn't enough to completely fill the emptiness I felt. I lived, like so many others, without really questioning the purpose of my existence or what could be beyond this life. April 2020 arrived, and with it, a global pandemic that was changing the world as we knew it. But I had no idea that my own personal change was about to happen, a transformation that would surpass anything I could imagine. It was on a seemingly ordinary night that my life took a drastic turn. We were having dinner as a family, as we did every night. The table was set, the food was hot, and conversations were flowing normally. Nothing indicated that this would be the night that marked the beginning of an extraordinary journey. Looking back, I realize how disconnected I was from the true essence of life. I lived on autopilot, following a routine that gave me a false sense of security and control. Little did I know that I was about to discover that there is so much more to life than our eyes can see or our minds can comprehend. The experience I'm about to share not only changed my outlook on life and death, but it also showed me a truth so profound and universal that I'm still trying to fully assimilate. It is a story of fear and courage, of doubt and faith, of darkness and light. It is the story of how I, Ezekiel Hawthorne, died and was reborn, not just in the physical sense, but in the deepest, most spiritual sense possible. As I prepare to tell this story, I ask that you open not only your mind but also your heart. What I experienced goes beyond logic and reason, touching something much deeper in our existence. It's a journey that has taken me to the limits of reality as we know it and back again, forever changing my understanding of what it truly means to be alive. That April night began like so many others. Dinner was on the table, and my family and I gathered for our daily meal. The aroma of home-cooked food filled the kitchen, mixing with the familiar sound of cutlery clinking on plates and excited voices discussing the day's events. It was a scenario so common, so routine, that I could never have imagined that in just a few minutes my life would change forever. I clearly remember the moment it all started. I was about to put another fork of food in my mouth when I felt a sudden, sharp pain in my chest. At first, I tried to ignore it, thinking it might just be indigestion or something passing. But the pain quickly intensified, spreading through my body like an out-of-control fire. I dropped the fork, which fell onto the plate with a metallic clang that seemed to echo throughout the room. My wife, Catherine, immediately knew something was wrong. His eyes widened with concern when he saw the pained expression on my face. "Ezekiel, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. Before I could respond, I felt a wave of nausea so intense that I barely had time to turn away from the table. What happened next was like a scene from a horror movie. I started vomiting blood, a lot of blood. The hot red liquid stained the kitchen floor, creating a shocking contrast with the clean white floor. Panic took over the environment. Catherine screamed for help as she ran to the phone to call an ambulance. My daughter, Sarah, stood frozen in horror, her eyes fixed on me, unable to process what was happening. The expression on his young face, a mixture of fear and disbelief, is an image I will never forget. I could feel my strength fading along with the blood that continued to pour out of me. My vision began to darken at the edges, and a dull ringing filled my ears. I tried to get up, but my body wouldn't respond. I fell to the ground, feeling the cold of the tiles against my skin. The minutes that followed seemed to stretch on for an eternity. I could hear Catherine talking frantically on the phone, her voice choked with crying. Sarah finally snapped out of her shock and ran to me, kneeling beside me, her hands shaking as she tried to help me. "Dad, please stay with me," she begged, tears streaming down her face. I wanted to comfort her, tell her it would be okay, but I couldn't form the words. All I could do was look at her, trying to convey all the love I felt through my eyes. The distant sound of sirens began to grow louder, announcing the arrival of the ambulance. Paramedics burst into our home, bringing with them a flurry of activity and urgent voices. They quickly surrounded me, checking my vitals and preparing me for transport. As I was placed on the stretcher, I caught a last glimpse of Catherine's face. She was pale, her eyes red from crying, but she tried to maintain her composure for Sarah. "I love you," I murmured, not sure if the words actually came out of my mouth. The ambulance ride was a blur of flashing lights and wailing sirens. I fluctuated between consciousness and unconsciousness, vaguely aware of the paramedics working frantically around me. I heard snippets of their conversations, something about massive blood loss and the need for emergency surgery. As we were driven through the streets of Milwaukee toward the hospital, a strange calm began to wash over me. Despite the pain and fear, I felt like I was being prepared for something greater. I didn't know what was coming, but I had a feeling that my life would never be the same. As the ambulance doors opened in the emergency room, I knew I was on the verge of something monumental. What I didn't know was that this night would not only mark the beginning of a battle for my physical life, but also the beginning of a spiritual journey that would fundamentally change who I was and how I saw the world. The hours that followed my arrival at the hospital are a blur in my memory. I vaguely remember being pushed through the bright, sterile hallways, the fluorescent lights passing over me in a hypnotic rhythm. Urgent voices echoed around me, but the words seemed garbled and meaningless. The operating room was a whirlwind of activity. Doctors and nurses moved with orchestrated precision, preparing for what would be a fight to save my life. The strong smell of antiseptic invaded my nostrils, mixing with the metallic odor of my own blood. As the anesthesia began to take effect, I felt a strange sense of detachment. It was as if I were floating above my own body, observing the scene below with surreal detachment. I saw the doctors working frantically, their hands moving with skill and urgency over my limp body. It was in this moment of transition that I realized I was entering a realm beyond normal understanding. The operating room began to dissolve around me, the walls and ceiling disappearing into an ethereal haze. Reality as I knew it was disintegrating, giving way to something completely new and inexplicable. Suddenly, I found myself enveloped by a deep, vast darkness. It was not a frightening or oppressive darkness, but rather a calm and welcoming emptiness. It was as if I were floating in space, free from the constraints of gravity and the limitations of the physical body. In this darkness, I began to feel a presence. It was something I couldn't see or touch, but whose existence I felt with absolute certainty. It was a comforting presence, emanating a sense of peace and security that I had never experienced before. As I grew accustomed to this new state of being, I began to realize that I was not alone in this emptiness. There were other presences around me, entities that I could not see, but whose existence I could feel as clearly as I felt myself. They seemed to be watching me, guiding me, preparing me for what was to come. It was then that I noticed something extraordinary. Amidst the darkness, small points of light began to appear. At first, they were just isolated sparks, twinkling like distant stars, but they soon multiplied, forming complex and beautiful patterns. It was as if the very fabric of the universe was unfolding before me. These lights were not just visual, I could feel them. Each point of light seemed to pulse with its own life and consciousness. I began to understand that what I was seeing were not simply lights, but manifestations of pure energy, of life in its most fundamental form. As I moved through this ethereal space, the lights began to focus, forming a path before me. It was as if they were inviting me to follow them, guiding me to something beyond my understanding. I felt an irresistible pull toward this path of light. There was no fear, just a deep curiosity, and a feeling that I was about to discover something of immense significance. As I advanced, the darkness around me began to dissipate, giving way to an increasingly intense glow. The brightness increased until it was almost blinding, but somehow, it wasn't painful to look at. It was a light that warmed not just my eyes, but my entire being. I felt enveloped by it, as if I were being embraced by the universe itself. It was in this moment of transition, suspended between two worlds, that I understood that I was about to experience something that would fundamentally change my understanding of reality. The boundary between life and death, between the physical and the spiritual, was dissolving before me. As I surrendered to this transcendent light, a feeling of deep peace came over me. All the worries, fears, and pains of my earthly life seemed insignificant before the vastness and beauty of what I was experiencing. I was ready for what came next, ready for the revelations that awaited me beyond that veil of light. As I moved forward, I felt that I was leaving behind not only my physical body, but also all the limitations and concepts that had defined my existence up to that point. I was about to enter a realm of pure consciousness, where the fundamental truths of the universe would be revealed to me in ways I could never have imagined. As he advanced along the path of light, the intensity of the glow increased with each passing moment. It was as if I were moving toward the heart of a star, but without the scorching heat one might expect. Instead, I felt enveloped in a comforting warmth, like a loving embrace that enveloped my entire being. As I approached the center of this light, I began to notice a shape materializing. At first, it was just a vague outline, an indistinct silhouette against the intense glow. But little by little, the shape became clearer, more defined. And then, I saw him. It was not the Jesus I had seen in paintings or imagined based on church descriptions. There was no long beard, no white robe, no look of harsh judgment. What I saw before me was pure energy, pure love manifested in a form that my mind could comprehend. Your eyes, oh, your eyes, were like deep wells of understanding and compassion. When I looked into those eyes, I felt as if my entire life, every thought, every action, every moment of joy and pain, was being seen and understood completely. There was no judgment in that look, just a love so deep and unconditional that I felt completely exposed and, at the same time, completely accepted. Jesus' presence emanated an energy that transcended anything I had ever experienced. It was as if every atom of my being was vibrating in harmony with this divine energy. I felt filled with a peace that went beyond any human understanding. Then, he spoke, not with words that I could hear with my ears, but with a voice that resonated directly into my soul. "Ezekiel," he said, and in that moment, I felt like my true self was being called for the first time. The true face of Jesus is not the one preached by religions, he told me, and these words shook the foundations of everything I thought I knew about faith and spirituality. I understood, at that moment, that much of what we are taught about God and religion is distorted by human interpretations and limitations. Jesus continued to speak, and each word was like a revelation that illuminated the darkest corners of my understanding. Everything I was taught about God and sin was wrong, he stated, and I felt the weight of years of guilt and fear dissipating like fog in the morning sun. I learned that God is not a harsh judge waiting to punish us for our mistakes, but an infinite source of love and understanding. The concept of sin, as we were taught, was a man-made distortion, a tool of control and manipulation that obscured the true nature of the divine. As Jesus continued to share these truths with me, I felt as if veils were being removed from my eyes. I saw that life was not about seeking forgiveness or fearing punishment, but about experiencing, learning, and evolving. Every challenge, every pain, every joy was an opportunity for soul growth. I understood that we were all connected, part of a greater universal consciousness. The divisions we created among ourselves, race, religion, nationality, were illusions that prevented us from seeing our true divine nature. Jesus showed me that the purpose of our existence was not to worship a distant supreme being, but to recognize and manifest divinity within ourselves and everything around us. The real sin, if we may use that word, was to deny this divine connection, to live in fear and separation instead of love and unity. As I absorbed these revelations, I felt my consciousness expanding. It was as if I could see and feel the entire web of existence, each thread connected and pulsing with divine life. I saw that every action, every thought, had an impact on the entire universe, creating ripples that stretched into eternity. Jesus showed me that love, pure, unconditional, and universal, was the most powerful force in the universe. It was love that created, sustained, and transformed all things, and it was through love that we could realize our true potential as divine beings. In that moment of perfect communion with Jesus, I understood that my life on earth was just a small part of a much larger journey. I saw that I had chosen the experiences of my current life before I was born, as part of my spiritual evolution process. When I looked again into the eyes of Jesus, I saw reflected in them not only who I was, but who I could become. I saw the divine potential that exists in each of us, waiting to be awakened and manifested. As these revelations settled into my being, I felt a profound transformation occurring within me. He was no longer the same Ezekiel who had entered that operating room. I was being reborn, not just in the physical sense, but in the deepest, most spiritual sense possible. And then, gently, Jesus began to prepare me for what came next. There was more to be revealed, more to be understood. I was about to receive visions of the future and understand the great mission that awaited not just me, but all of humanity. As I absorbed the initial revelations shared by Jesus, I felt my consciousness expand even further. It was as if the barriers of time and space were dissolving, allowing me to glimpse realities beyond my previous understanding. Jesus, still radiant in his form of pure light and love, began to guide me through a series of visions. These were not mere images or scenes that I was observing from the outside, but fully immersive experiences. I could feel, hear, and even understand on a deep level everything that was being shown. The first vision I had was of the Earth seen from space. Our blue and green planet seemed so fragile and precious, suspended in the cosmic void. But what impressed me most was the energy that emanated from him. I could see intertwined streams of light covering the entire surface of the globe, connecting every living thing into a complex and beautiful web. This is the network of consciousness that unites all life on Earth, Jesus explained. Every thought, every emotion, every act of love or fear affects this entire network. As I watched, I could see how our actions and thoughts created ripples in this network, affecting not just our immediate environment, but the entire planet. I then understood the profound responsibility we have as co-creators of our reality. The scene changed, and I found myself floating above a busy city. I could see people's auras as they moved through the streets, each a unique kaleidoscope of colors and energies. What surprised me was how these auras interacted, mixing and influencing each other, often without people consciously realizing it. "You are never truly alone," Jesus said. "Every interaction, every encounter, however brief, has the potential to transform and elevate." Then the vision expanded to show the entire history of humanity in a single instant. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have seen wars and periods of peace, moments of great enlightenment and times of darkness. But what struck me most was the pattern underlying it all, a constant movement toward greater consciousness and unity. The evolution of humanity is not just physical or technological, Jesus explained. It is, above all, an evolution of consciousness. The next vision was the most challenging. I saw a near future full of turmoil and transformation. Wars, natural disasters, and global crises seemed to shake the very foundations of human society. However, amidst the chaos, I saw seeds of hope sprouting. The coming years will be a time of great purification and transformation for the earth and its inhabitants, said Jesus. But remember, it is through the greatest challenges that comes the greatest growth. I saw people from all parts of the world coming together, transcending ancient divisions of race, religion, and nationality. I saw a new global consciousness emerging, based on love, compassion, and an understanding of our fundamental interconnectedness. The final vision I received was of a more distant future, where humanity had finally realized its divine potential. I saw a transformed Earth, where people lived in harmony with each other and with the planet. Technology and spirituality had merged, creating a civilization that seemed almost magical in its beauty and sophistication. This is the final destiny of humanity, said Jesus, a return to unity, but with the richness of experience and individuality preserved. When the vision stopped, I felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what I had witnessed. I understood that I had been shown not only the future, but the greater purpose of human existence. Jesus then turned to me, his eyes full of compassion and love. Ezekiel, he said, you saw these things for a reason. You have a role to play in the awakening that is coming. I felt the weight of this responsibility, but also a surge of determination and purpose. I knew that my life would never be the same after this experience. I was being called to something greater, something that transcended my individual existence. As I took in everything I had seen and learned, I felt a deep gratitude for this extraordinary experience. But I also felt there was more to be revealed, more to be understood. Jesus was about to share with me the truth about religions and the true meaning of our existence on earth. While visions of humanity's future were still echoing in my expanded consciousness, Jesus turned to me with a look of deep compassion. I could feel that we were about to address a topic of immense importance and sensitivity, the truth about religions. Ezekiel, he began, his voice resonating directly into my soul. Religions as you know them on earth are both a blessing and a burden to humanity. This statement took me by surprise. As someone who has always had a complicated relationship with religion, wavering between skepticism and spiritual quest, I was eager to understand more. Jesus continued, religions arose from noble impulses, the desire to understand the divine, to find meaning in existence, to create community and moral guidance. However, over time, many of them have strayed from their original purpose. He then showed me a series of images. I saw the founders of various religions, all of them radiant with light and love, sharing messages of compassion, unity, and wisdom. But then I saw how these messages had been distorted over time, interpreted through the lens of fear, power, and human limitation. The fundamental truths these messengers brought were simple. Jesus explained, unconditional love, compassion for all beings, the interconnectedness of all life, the divinity inherent in each individual. But these simple truths have often been obscured by dogma, rituals, and hierarchies. I then understood that religions, in essence, were human attempts to understand and connect with the divine. But, like everything that passes through the filter of human perception, they were subject to distortions and limitations. The greatest error, continued Jesus, was the belief that God is a separate entity, a harsh judge who punishes and rewards. The truth is that what you call God is the very essence of the universe, consciousness that permeates everything that exists. And you are not separate from that consciousness. You are individualized expressions of it. This revelation hit me like a powerful wave. All my life, I had struggled with the idea of a distant, judgmental God. Now, I was being introduced to a conception of the divine that was both vaster and more intimate than anything I had ever imagined. Jesus continued, religions often teach about sin and guilt, creating a sense of separation between the human and the divine. But there is no such separation. What you call sin is simply the result of operating from fear and from ignorance of its true nature. He then showed me how concepts like heaven and hell were limited interpretations of states of consciousness. Heaven was not a physical place, but a state of full consciousness and union with the divine. Hell was the state of separation and fear we create for ourselves when we disconnect from our true nature. Our salvation, Jesus explained, does not come from without. It is not something that needs to be earned or bestowed by an external deity. Salvation is awakening to who you truly are, an eternal, perfect expression of the divine. I then understood that the purpose of religions, in their purest form, should be to guide us back to this awareness of our true nature. But often, they ended up creating more barriers than bridges to this achievement. Jesus emphasized, true spirituality is not about following rules or dogma. It is about living in alignment with your divine nature, expressing love, compassion, and creativity in every moment. He showed me how all religions, at their core, pointed to the same fundamental truths. The differences were mainly in human interpretations and cultural expressions of these truths. The future of human spirituality, said Jesus, is not in rigidly adhering to a single religious tradition, but in recognizing the wisdom present in them all, while transcending their limitations. As I absorbed these revelations, I felt a profound sense of liberation. Years of religion-related guilt and fear dissolved, replaced by a broader, more compassionate understanding. Jesus concluded, remember, Ezekiel, true religion is love in action. It is living each moment with awareness of your connection to all that is. It is being a channel for divine love to flow into the world. As I reflected on these words, I felt a profound shift in my understanding not just of religions, but of the purpose of human existence. I realized that I was being prepared to share these truths with the world, to help awaken others to their true divine nature. And so, with a heart full of new understanding and purpose, I prepared myself for the next revelation that Jesus had to share with me. As revelations about religion settled into my expanded consciousness, Jesus directed my attention to an even more fundamental aspect of existence, the true nature of reality. Ezekiel, Jesus began, his voice resonating with a depth that seemed to encompass the entire cosmos. What you perceive as reality is only the tip of the iceberg of a much vaster and more complex existence. With these words, I felt my consciousness expand even further, as if the boundaries of my being were dissolving to encompass something infinitely greater. Jesus continued, the reality you experience on Earth is like a dense layer of fog over an infinite ocean of possibilities. What you call matter is just condensed energy, vibrating at specific frequencies that your senses can interpret. As he spoke, I could see, not with my physical eyes, but with a much deeper perception, the true nature of the universe. It was as if I could see through the layers of reality, observing the cosmic ballet of energy and consciousness that makes up everything that exists. The universe, Jesus explained, is not a place. It is a constantly evolving process, an eternal dance of creation and dissolution. And you are not mere observers of this process. You are active participants, co-creators of reality. This revelation hit me with full force. All my life, I had seen myself as a small cog in a vast, indifferent universe. Now, I was being introduced to a vision of reality where every thought, every action, every choice had the power to shape the fabric of existence. Jesus continued, time, as you perceive it, is an illusion created by the human mind to make sense of linear experience. In fact, all time, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously in an eternal now. He then showed me how our souls choose to incarnate in different times and places, not in a linear sequence, but as part of a grand plan of evolution and experience. I saw that what we call past lives and in future lives are all happening at the same time in different dimensions of reality. Death, said Jesus, is not the end of existence, but simply a transition from one state of consciousness to another. Consciousness is eternal, indestructible. What you experience as death is only the detachment of consciousness from a temporary physical form. I then understood that the fear of death, so deeply rooted in the human psyche, was based on a limited understanding of the nature of reality. I saw that our souls choose the experiences we will have in each incarnation, including challenges and difficulties, as opportunities for growth and evolution. Jesus continued, "Free will is one of the fundamental laws of the universe. You have the power to choose, in each moment, how you will respond to the circumstances of your life. These choices shape not only your individual experiences, but also the course of your life." Collective evolution. He showed me how every choice we make creates ripples that stretch through the fabric of reality, affecting not only our own lives, but also the lives of countless other beings throughout the universe. The reality you experience, Jesus explained, is a reflection of your collective consciousness. Changes in consciousness lead to changes in manifested reality. This is why humanity's spiritual awakening is so crucial. It has the power to fundamentally transform the nature of the reality you experience. Then Jesus revealed something to me that shook the foundations of my understanding. The physical universe that you perceive is just one of the infinite dimensions of reality. There are countless other realms and dimensions, each with their own laws and forms of existence. He showed me glimpses of these other realms, worlds of pure energy, dimensions where thought instantly manifests itself into form, realms of light and sound beyond anything I could describe with human words. Your mission as human beings, said Jesus, is to bring consciousness from these higher dimensions into the physical plane, raising the Earth's vibration and helping it evolve into a higher state of existence. I then understood that spiritual evolution was not just an individual process, but a cosmic effort in which all humanity was engaged, consciously or unconsciously. Jesus concluded, remember, Ezekiel, reality is infinitely vaster, more beautiful, and more full of possibilities than the human mind can conceive. Live with an awareness of this truth, and you will see miracles unfold in your life and in the world around you. As I absorbed these profound revelations, I felt as if my entire being was being recalibrated to a new frequency of existence. I knew that when I returned to my earthly life, nothing would be the same. I was being prepared to see and experience reality in a completely new way, and to help others awaken to this greater truth. And so, with my mind expanded and my heart open to the infinite possibilities of existence, I prepared myself for the next revelation that Jesus had to share with me. As the revelations about the true nature of reality settled into my expanded consciousness, I realized that there was still a fundamental question that lingered in my being. What, after all, is the purpose of life? As if reading my thoughts, Jesus smiled gently and began to address this deep question. Ezekiel, he said, his voice resonating with infinite wisdom, the purpose of life is at its core, simple and profound at the same time. It is to experience, to grow, and to evolve. As Jesus spoke, I felt as if each word was illuminating parts of my being that had long been dormant. You are individualized expressions of divine consciousness, he continued. Each soul is like a unique spark of divine fire, embarking on a journey of self-discovery and self-realization. Jesus then showed me a vision of the soul's journey that left me in awe. I saw how each soul, before incarnating, carefully chooses the experiences it will have in its next life. I saw that what we call difficulties or challenges are actually precious opportunities for growth and evolution. Each life, Jesus explained, is like a carefully crafted play, with each soul playing multiple roles throughout its incarnations. The suffering, the joys, the relationships, the challenges, all of these are part of the curriculum that the soul chooses for itself. I then realized that there really are no victims or villains in the grand scheme of things. Each of us is playing a crucial role in the cosmic drama of the evolution of consciousness. Jesus continued, the ultimate goal of this journey is the full realization of your divine nature. It is to remember who you really are, not just intellectually, but experientially. He showed me how every life experience, every interaction, every challenge overcome, adds to the richness and wisdom of the soul. I saw that what we call karma is not a system of punishment and reward, but rather a feedback mechanism that guides us toward greater balance and understanding. The evolution of the soul, said Jesus, is not linear. It moves in spirals, revisiting themes and lessons at ever deeper levels of understanding and integration. He showed me how souls often group together into spiritual families, incarnating together in different configurations over many lifetimes to work on collective lessons and support each other's growth. Love, Jesus emphasized, is the great catalyst of the soul's evolution. It is through love that you transcend the illusions of separation and recognize your fundamental unity with all life. I then understood that every act of kindness, every expression of unconditional love, every moment of compassion contributes not only to our own evolution, but to the evolution of all universal consciousness. Jesus continued, Earth is a particularly intense school for soul evolution. The density and duality you experience there provide unique opportunities for spiritual growth. He showed me how the experience of separation and forgetting our true nature, although painful, serves a greater purpose. It is through the process of remembering who we really are that we gain a deeper appreciation of our divine nature. Each life, said Jesus, is an opportunity to bring more light to the physical plane, to raise the vibration of the planet, and to assist in the collective evolution of consciousness. I then understood that our responsibility is not just for our own evolution, but for the evolution of all humanity and in fact, all creation. Jesus then addressed a question many of us carry. What happens when we die? Death, he explained, is simply a transition. Consciousness detaches from the physical body and returns to a state of expanded consciousness. In this state, the soul reviews the experiences of the life it has just lived, integrating the lessons learned. He showed me how, after this review, souls often go through a period of rest and rejuvenation before beginning to plan their next incarnation. Some souls, Jesus continued, choose to remain in the spiritual realms for longer periods, serving as guides and helpers to other souls. Others choose to quickly reincarnate to continue their work on earth. Jesus emphasized that there is no right or wrong path. Each soul chooses what is most appropriate for its own evolution and for the service it wishes to provide to the whole. Remember Ezekiel, Jesus concluded. Every life is precious, every experience is valuable. There are no little lives or insignificant lives. Each existence contributes in a unique and important way to the great tapestry of cosmic evolution. As I absorbed these profound revelations about the purpose of life and the evolution of the soul, I felt a wave of gratitude and awe wash over me. I understood that I was being entrusted with sacred knowledge that had the power to transform not only my own life, but potentially the lives of many others. And so, with my heart overflowing with love and understanding, I prepared to receive the last revelations that Jesus had to share with me before my return to earthly life. As the revelations about the purpose of life and the evolution of the soul settled into my expanded consciousness, I realized that there was still one crucial aspect to be addressed: humanity's collective role in this great cosmic drama. As if anticipating my unasked question, Jesus turned his attention to this vital topic. Ezekiel, he began, his voice resonating with compassionate urgency. Humanity stands on the threshold of an unprecedented transformation. You are about to enter a new era of expanded consciousness and global unity. As Jesus spoke, visions of Earth's future began to unfold before me. I saw waves of cosmic energy sweeping across the planet, raising the vibration of everything they touched. I saw people from all parts of the world awakening to a new reality, their eyes shining with a light of recognition and understanding. Jesus continued, "This awakening will not be easy or smooth. Like any birth, it will be accompanied by pain and challenges. You will see ancient systems crumbling, deep-seated beliefs being challenged, and the very fabric of society being reshaped." He showed me visions of conflict and chaos, natural disasters and global crises. But amid all this turmoil, I also saw seeds of hope sprouting, people coming together in unprecedented ways, transcending ancient divisions of race, religion, and nationality. Humanity's mission at this critical time, Jesus explained, is to facilitate this transition. You are the midwives of this new world that is being born. I then understood that each of us has a vital role to play in this global awakening. This is not just about our individual evolution, but about our collective responsibility to all life on earth and beyond. Jesus continued, "This awakening is not just about humanity. It is about the earth itself evolving into a new state of being. The planet is a living, conscious being, and it is undergoing its own transformation." He showed me how human consciousness and planetary consciousness are intrinsically linked, each influencing and being influenced by the other. I saw how our thoughts, emotions, and actions have a direct impact on the Earth's energy field. "The environmental crisis you face," said Jesus, "is a reflection of the imbalance in your collective consciousness. As you awaken to your true nature and your connection to all life, you will see a corresponding healing occurring on the planet." Jesus then addressed a topic that many of us carry in our hearts: fear of the future. "Do not fear the changes that are coming," he said firmly. "Remember, you are co-creators of reality. The future is not written in stone. It is shaped by your collective choices, moment by moment." He showed me how every act of kindness, every loving thought, every choice aligned with the highest good contributes to creating a brighter future for everyone. True change, Jesus emphasized, begins within each individual. As each of you awakens to your true divine nature, you become catalysts for the awakening of others. I then understood that our responsibility goes far beyond our individual lives. Each of us is like a cell in the body of humanity, and our individual awakening contributes to the awakening of the whole. Jesus continued, "The technology you have developed plays a crucial role in this global awakening. It has the potential to unite humanity in unprecedented ways, sharing knowledge and promoting mutual understanding." He showed me visions of an evolved internet, no longer a tool of distraction and division, but a means of deep connection and global collaboration. I saw people from different cultures and backgrounds coming together on virtual platforms to solve the world's most pressing challenges. However, Jesus warned, technology is just a tool. What matters is the consciousness with which you use it. Used wisely, it can accelerate the evolution of consciousness. Used unwisely, it can create new forms of separation and conflict. Jesus then addressed a topic that has been the source of much speculation and fear: contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. "You are not alone in the universe," he said with a smile. "There are countless other civilizations, in various stages of evolution, some much more advanced than yours. As humanity's consciousness expands, you will become ready for open contact with some of these beings." He showed me visions of a future where Earth joins a broader galactic community, sharing knowledge and resources with other civilizations. I saw how this contact would greatly expand our understanding of the universe and our place in it. But remember, Jesus emphasized, true advancement is not technological but consciousness. Some of the more evolved civilizations you will encounter may appear primitive or in technological terms, but they will have reached levels of love and wisdom that you barely can imagine. Jesus then turned his attention to the role of awakened individuals in this time of transition. "Those of you who are awakening now," he said, "are the pioneers, the beacons of light in a world that is still largely asleep. Your task is to keep that light burning, no matter how dark the world around you may seem." He showed me how each act of love, each conscious choice, each moment of full presence creates ripples in the field of collective consciousness, influencing far beyond what we can see or understand. "Do not underestimate the power of your individual choices," Jesus emphasized. "Every time you choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, unity over separation, you are contributing to global awakening." Jesus then shared a vision of the future that filled me with hope and inspiration. I saw a transformed Earth, where people lived in harmony with each other and with the planet. I saw a society based on cooperation and mutual respect, where diversity was celebrated and the underlying unity was recognized. "This is the potential that humanity carries," said Jesus. "This is the future you are being called to co-create." I understood then that we were being invited to participate in something truly extraordinary, the conscious evolution of an entire species and a planet. It was a huge responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity. Jesus concluded, "Remember, Ezekiel, you are not alone on this journey. Each of you is supported and guided by higher dimensional beings of light. Trust in that guidance, trust in the love that permeates the entire universe, and know that the step you take toward the light helps light the way for others." As I absorbed these profound revelations about the global awakening and mission of humanity, I felt a wave of purpose and determination wash over me. I realized that I was being groomed for an important role in this great cosmic drama, and that my near-death experience was just the beginning of a much greater journey. And so, with my heart full of love for humanity and all life, I prepared myself for the final words that Jesus had to share with me before my return to earthly life. As revelations about global awakening and humanity's mission settled into my expanded consciousness, I felt a subtle shift in the energy around me. It was as if the air itself was becoming denser, more tangible. I looked at Jesus, and his gentle smile told me it was time to return. "Ezekiel," he said, his voice now laced with a note of urgency and tenderness, "the time has come for you to return to the physical plane, but remember, you are not returning as the same person who left that hospital." I felt a pang in my heart. Part of me wanted to stay in this realm of light and love, where everything made sense and the truth was clear as day, but I knew I had a mission to accomplish. Jesus continued, "You have been chosen to be a messenger, a beacon of light in an awakening world. The truths you have experienced here are not just for you, but to be shared with those who are ready to listen." He then placed his hand over my heart, and I felt a wave of pure energy flow through me. It was as if every cell of my being was being recalibrated, tuned to a higher frequency. "This is a gift," Jesus explained, "a direct connection to divine source. In moments of doubt or fear, tune into this energy. It will guide and sustain you." Jesus then shared with me specific instructions for my mission on Earth. First, heal yourself completely. Your body will need time to adjust to the new energy frequency you are carrying. Be patient and kind to yourself during this process. Second, start sharing your story. There will be those who doubt, who will ridicule. Don't let this get you down. Speak your truth with love and compassion, knowing that the seeds you plant today may take years to germinate. Third, seek out others who have had similar experiences. You are a brotherhood of light, each with a unique role to play in the global awakening. Together, you will be stronger. Fourth, practice what you have learned. Live the unconditional love, compassion, and unity you experienced here. Your life will be your greatest teaching. And finally, trust the process. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you wonder if this was all real. In those moments, turn inward and connect with the truth you know in your heart. As Jesus spoke, I felt a growing sensation of heaviness and density. My consciousness was slowly being pulled back into my physical body. "Remember, Ezekiel," said Jesus, his voice now seeming to come from far away. "You are never truly separated from us. We are always with you, guiding and supporting you every step of the way." With those words, I felt a sudden acceleration, as if I were falling through layers and layers of reality. There was a moment of total darkness, and then I opened my eyes. The hospital's fluorescent light hurt my vision. The constant sound of heart monitors filled my ears. I felt the roughness of the hospital sheets against my skin. The smell of antiseptic invaded my nostrils. I was back. As my vision cleared, I saw the face of Catherine, my wife, leaning over me. Tears of joy ran down her cheeks. "Ezekiel," she whispered, "you came back to us." I tried to speak, but my throat felt dry and scratchy. Catherine offered me some water, which I drank greedily. "How long?" I managed to ask in a hoarse voice. "Oh, 2 weeks," Catherine replied. "The doctors, they weren't sure if you would wake up." 2 weeks. To me, It seemed like eternities in just an instant at the same time. In the days and weeks that followed, I went through an intense physical recovery process. But the real journey was just beginning. I knew that I had been profoundly transformed by my experience, and that my life would never be the same again. As I regained my strength, I began to share my story with Catherine, with Sarah, with the doctors and nurses. Some people were skeptical, others fascinated. But for those who were ready to listen, my words seemed to touch something deep within them. I realized that this would be my new life, to be a messenger of hope, a beacon of light for an awakening world. It wouldn't be an easy path, I knew. There would be challenges, doubts, moments of fear, but I also knew I wasn't alone on this journey. As I prepared to leave the hospital and face the world with my new eyes and my new purpose, I felt a deep gratitude flood my being. Gratitude for the second chance in life, gratitude for the truths that were revealed to me, gratitude for the opportunity to serve the evolution of human consciousness. And so, with a heart full of love and eyes shining with a new purpose, I took my first steps towards my new life and my new mission. The world was waiting, and I was ready to share the light. If you liked this beautiful spiritual testimony, leave a like, comment on your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.